Good afternoon, unit holders of Sabana Industrial REIT. Thank you for joining us today at the SIAS-Sabana Industrial REIT virtual dialogue session. This dialogue session is organized for you unit holders to get an update on the REIT's financial year 2021 financial performance, growth plans for 2022, and resolutions for its upcoming AGM. Sabana Industrial REIT will be holding its virtual AGM on 26th April, Tuesday at 10 a.m. and would be proposing several resolutions for unit holders to vote on. As time at the AGM is usually constrained, today's session is created for Sabana unit holders to be able to be updated on the performance of the manager and to address any questions you have regarding the company and the resolutions proposed. So we have invited the following board and management of Sabana Industrial REIT to join us at this dialogue. Mr. Tan Cheong Hin is the chairman of...
Hello, hi, good afternoon, everybody.
And Mr. Wong Heng Tew, independent non-executive director.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon.
Mr. Charlie Chan Wai Keong, independent non-executive director.
Hello, everybody.
And Mr. Donald Han, chief executive officer of Sabana.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody.
And Mr. Lim Wei Huang, chief financial officer. Chairman, Mr. Tan Cheong Hin will start off the session with his opening comments to unit holders before I hand over to CEO Donald Han, who will walk you through the company's performance for 2021 with a corporate presentation. Company will address your questions during the Q&A session, so please submit your questions via the Q&A function of the Zoom webinar. Over to you, Mr. Tan Cheong Hin.
Okay, David, thank you very much. And good afternoon, unit holders. First of all, let me just thank you for spending this very precious 1 hour or so with us, especially this is a holiday eve, and we really appreciate this opportunity to interact with you and to be able to answer any questions and to allay any concerns that you may have. Before I hand over the presentation to Donna, I would like to make some reassuring remarks to our unit holders, because I think some of you would know there have been some noises, and these noises are increasing in intensity and volume in the lead up to the AGM. So it is a good opportunity now for me to sort of lay the groundwork for this session. The first is, the REIT manager, which comprises the board of directors and the full-time management of the REIT manager. We have only one overriding objective, and that is to protect and to take care of the long-term interests of our unit holders. This goal governs every decision we make, and it governs every action we take. And I can assure you that, every day as we go about doing our duties, we will always strive to protect and enhance the value of the investment in the REIT. The second assurance that I want to give to you is that we hold all our unit holders in high regard, and we accord them their due respect. So whenever we interact with you, we do so with integrity and with sincerity. And whenever you give us feedback, we take your comments and feedback very seriously. We consider them, and to the extent that it's practical and to the extent that we can, we will incorporate some of these comments into our decisions and actions. But of course, we all know that it's not possible to incorporate every action. Neither is it good for the REIT. So some of your comments and actions we may have to disregard for the greater good, and for that we ask for your understanding. And then in very specific situations where we could work with you to create win-win situations, we will reach out to you, and we will reach out to you in a manner which is in good faith and with the intention of collaborating so that we can then find a solution that is in the best interest of our unit holders. The last assurance I want to give to you is, we are a very 100% law-abiding organization. Everything we do is right and proper, is ethical, and is orderly. And every regulation and rule that is required of us, we will always comply. Regulations that perhaps apply to the industry as a whole, such as rules governing the REIT industry, CMS licensing requirements, SGX listing rules, SGX disclosure requirements and rules, we will always 100% comply. To me and to the board and to the management, there's no room for any compromise or even any slippage. We will also comply with regulatory approvals in specific situations such as when we are required to undertake certain corporate action or to perform certain key administrative tasks, such as the appointment of independent directors. We will go through the whole process with the regulators, and we will only proceed once we get the unequivocal and 100% approval from the authorities. So this is the way we would deal with this is the way we operate, and this is the way we organize ourselves. Internally, we are also 100% clear. All rules and regulations have to be obeyed. That means the trust deed, constitutional documents, approval levels, standard operating procedures. We are very fastidious in compliance to all these things. So I just want to give this assurance before I hand over the presentation time to Donna. Donna is going to present the 2021 results and then his plans and action steps for the current year and beyond. We will all agree that this 2021 performance has been a creditable one, given the circumstances that we are all laboring under. So when we perform well, we ask that you encourage us and, more importantly, support us. But I also want to sort of take this opportunity that in areas where we are inadequate, where we have not been able to give you everything that you want, let me, on behalf of everybody, the board and management, as the most senior officer in the company, sort of apologize to you. I mean, we wish that every time things would come to us nicely packaged and we tick every box, but sometimes we know in real life it doesn't happen. So when such circumstances arise, we will look at things in totality, weigh the pros and the cons, and then get to you either to take action on your behalf or to come to you for a decision. So we ask for your forbearance and grace, when we are, in case we are short in some of the ways. So now let me just pause for a while and hand over the presentation time to Donna. And thereafter, I think David would facilitate the dialogue session for all of us present this afternoon. So Donna.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you very much, and good afternoon again. I would like to go through a slide presentation, especially for all of you. In particular, just to run through our performance of 2021, and also to give you a sneak preview of what we intend to do, and to run through some AGM matters as well. Next slide, yeah. So these are key components that we are looking at in terms of where we've done in the last 12 months, especially in 2021. We have delivered and are in the process of delivering our refresh strategy, pivoting into a grow value. This grow value is a phrase that we are now focused upon in terms of guiding us in the next few years, after we have already stabilized the REIT in the last few years, especially as what Chairman has mentioned, a strong performance in 2021. We have robustly shown in terms of financial results for FY 2021. We've completed the AEI for New Tech Park and incorporating a new NTP mall, which I hope all unit holders have the chance to come and visit us, support us. And we have opened this, in fact, from last year after the TOP on a resounding 100% occupancy. We have also removed Sharia compliance to be able to allow us to be able to have more flexibility in terms of growth. To bring in tenants in the financial institutions to be able to talk to other financial institutions for other financing proposition. We have resumed distribution reinvestment plan, the DRP, of which we saw fairly good take up, just about 40% of take up in that sense. We have strengthened our capital management with multiple major refinancing exercises. All our loans are now on an unsecured basis. Our current portfolio is 100% unencumbered. Compared to 1-2 years ago, it was virtually all encumbered. We are now pivoting to the grow value phase of refresh strategy And we're targeting to upsize our portfolio to more than $1 billion in 3 to 5 years. Personally, I like to get there earlier rather than later. And of course, just to echo Chairman's message, we'd like to thank unit holders for all your support, especially in the last 2, 3, 4 years since 2018 when I was on board. And we are looking to basically seek for unit holders' mandate and confidence to embark decisively on this next phase of our growth at the upcoming AGM. So this gives you an idea of our performance in 2021. If you look at almost all our parameters, we have actually improved on a year-to-year basis on a double digit. Gross revenue, 14% on a year-to-year. Net property income, 16%. Total available amount for distribution, 11%. Even our distribution per unit have also increased double digit, 10.5%. Our leverage have kept steady at 35%. It has gone up from 2020 December, mainly because of the asset enhancement that we've done for New Tech Park retail. Our all-in financing is at a healthy 3.1%. Portfolio occupancy is currently at 85.4%, a huge jump from a year ago at 76.5%. And we worked very hard in terms of trying to ramp up occupancy to retain tenants and to bring expansionary ones as well. Rental reversion is 10.5% compared to the year before, which is a COVID-19 year, of still positive 0.9%. I dare say our reversion is one of the best among any of our industrial REITs in Singapore, having 7 positive reversions over the 8 quarters in that sense. 7 positive quarters, yeah, over 8 quarters. Next slide, please. So to give you an idea what we've done also in the whole of 2021, we have undertaken 5 projects, both in the form of asset enhancement and rejuvenation of select assets. These 5 properties, which includes 151 Lorong Chuan New Tech Park, we have actually saw increase in valuation for all the 5 properties, where the valuation have actually gone up between 1.9% to as much as 11.3% over the past 12 months in that sense. And the highest quantum in terms of increase was 151 Lorong Chuan, where we have seen an increase in valuation by 5 million. So what it says is that the asset rejuvenation and asset enhancements have borne fruit for us in terms of valuation and bringing it up. And that's one of our proposition to be able to grow value, to be able to uptick our portfolio size to $1 billion. I think we're on the right step. And again, this is going to continue over into the next phase 3 of our grow value strategy as we continue to look into asset enhancement program. Next slide, please. Again, we're looking at the report card of 21/8. Why? Again, because I was the CEO of Sabana REIT in January 21, and I came on the same day as Chairman, who was part of the new reinstituted board in 21/8. And it's important to look at the track record that we've done over here, where if you look at the gross revenue, net property income, we're now higher than compared, almost higher, at least in terms of gross revenue, we're higher or very near to 21/8's performance. Our portfolio occupancy have actually gone much higher than what it was in 21/8. Rental reversion is positive. Our WALE is stable. I think generally what you've seen over here is that in 21/8, we had 20 properties that is bringing the amount of gross revenue. In 2022, we now have only 18 properties. We've sold 2 properties to bring down our our gearing and to use proceeds within to build onto New Tech Park. What basically we've done is that we have looked within to stabilize and to strengthen our REIT so that we have achieved right now to be able to leapfrog on a firmer footing to the next growth phase. We've been very disciplined in not issuing shares or acquiring properties to be able to ensure that we solve basic issues, i.e. portfolio that we have currently in that sense. Next slide. If you look at the performance of our year-to-date, this is according to SGX in March, printed in March 2022, we have achieved a total returns of about 4.8%. We're ranked number 2 then, just behind, I believe, first REIT. But this has been overtaken by a lot of hospitality stocks that have actually done well in the last couple of weeks because of the government's reopening of borders and all that. But Sabana's performance year to date is still within the top 25% percentile of achievement. So I think kudos to of course, the team will work very hard, and on top of that, for unit holders in supporting us as well. Next slide. Again, this is from SGX. If you look at total returns over the last 12 months, mainly from 2021, you've seen total returns for Sabana REIT is a positive 28.6%. And we are the highest among all industrial REITs in Singapore. And I think we only lost out to, I believe this one was to First REIT as well. Next slide. So this is our grow value mission that we are, it is part of our refresh strategy. In 2018, the management and board came out with this refresh strategy of phase one, where we divested property worth of about close to 110 million. And we use it to do phase two. Part of the proceeds was used to pay down loan and to be able to undertake AEI, in particular NTP Plus Mall, which is now up and running. And we're now ready to go into phase three of potential yield, acquiring potential yield accretive acquisitions in Singapore and also in overseas as well. At the same time, we want to do what we've done well. The 5 properties that you saw previously, where we've seen asset enhancement after we do asset rejuvenations, we will continue to look into the next set of 5 properties and to try to implement such, because we've seen those working with us in terms of improving our portfolio valuation and to be able to generate better expansionary tenants in our portfolio with the purpose of bringing up occupancy for each of them. All this is underpinned by prudent capital and risk management, plus ongoing cost rationalization. We always keep an eye on our costs. Next slide. So this is our priority. This has been released and announced in January earlier this year, where we are guided by these 5 main principles. It is the VALUE, which is value. What value refers to actually building onto value, taking advantage of market opportunities with an eye on macroeconomic challenges. I think key point here is that at any point of time, we are always surrounded with a lot of challenges. At one time, it could be pandemic. Now it is more geopolitical, war scenario in Europe. In other times, it could be financial crisis. And being a small REIT, we have to really take care of ourselves to make sure we make the right decision. And any of this decision in terms of whether we do AIs or we do asset asset acquisition, we have to look at in totality to make sure all the boxes are checked and we bring in the right strategy moving forward. So A, which is part of the VA, A refers to accretive acquisitions and executing AI, which is again fundamental for us to be able to grow our portfolio. The L, leverage, refers to optimizing leverage and capital structure. Mainly, of course, we would, if we need to borrow, we would have to do so in order to do what we need to do. And at the same time, we keep an eye in terms of our leverage ratio. Personally, I would prefer not to cross that 40%. We are now at a healthy 35%. So there's some room to be able to grow via gearing. The U refers to upsize portfolio, where the intent for us is that as we go into asset enhancement, we are also in a way increasing the value of those portfolio, as you've seen the 5 properties which we slide in slide 6 earlier. And importantly, as we do asset enhancement, we also want to identify tenants who join us to be able to increase footprint and pay higher rental. At the end of the day, asset valuation does not just come in terms of increase in floor area, but in terms of higher rental that tenants are paying. So these are the tenants that we've been successfully onboarded. Tenants like from the e-commerce, logistic, healthcare, electronics, and technology company, who has actually joined us in the last 12 months, which have led to higher occupancies in our portfolio. And the E is so important. It is advancing our ESG goals. And that will be a forefront in all our decision making, because we want to invest with a sustainability agenda. Taking into consideration that we're a small REIT, we have to make sure that whatever we spend, we need to be able to put it into the highest and most efficient use ultimately. So one of the key ESG metrics is really to ensure to look into our energy consumption, which I think is important for us to be able to mitigate or reduce costs in terms of operation. And that's immediately, we have already done so by looking into several of assets, which is occupied by our electronic companies. And we are beginning to discuss engagement for energy audit companies to come in and to look into how to mitigate energy consumption in some of our high energy guzzler buildings in that sense. So the target is really to achieve upsized portfolio valuation of more than 1 billion in 3 to 5 years. Next slide. So this talks about the industrial market. Generally, the market is in favor. Most consultants saying the logistic market is strong, looks healthy in the next few years. Supply demand is quite balanced in that sense. But take note that what consultants are always saying is that the newer properties will always attract bigger tenants. Tenants who afford to pay, if they to choose new buildings and the old ones, they will choose the new ones. And if they got a choice to choose between a prime property and not so prime, they'll choose the prime property. So in other words, it's still a tenant's market, of which then we have to start looking into where are the places that we want to build more of and where we want to build to protect our position. And in particular, I think from these dynamics, it's also important for us to slowly continue to upgrade our property so that we can match up in terms of the rental expectation of that of a new property. So the AEI, the rejuvenation will have to continue in line with the fact that there is always a flight to quality by tenants looking for newer product. Yeah. And also, I think if you look into what's more important in today's market is really the MAS just came out with an announcement to tighten monetary policy and expecting that the inflation rates is going to go up. This year is going to be 4.5 to 5.5. All the more, we have to take into consideration of our ESG agenda. As what I mentioned, we have to now focus on trying to reduce our energy consumptions across our portfolio. But that will take time because we have to do an audit. We might have to spend money in terms of what we need to change in terms of chillers, which is why we need unit holders to come out and give us a clear indication on those specific resolutions that we hope will be voted for in that sense. Next slide. So what we can expect in 2022 and beyond, what we've announced was the second major AEI of 1 Tuas Avenue 4, and this will be carried out in phases up to 350,000 square feet in gross floor area. We've already gone through an expression of interest exercise, and we are talking to architects right now, and we should hope to make some information. We should release some information out to the market in the next few months. But again, Tuas is a market which is an overcapacity. Like I said, we want to focus on products which are nearer to town, where you've got higher amount of tenants' interest. And this is the market that we want to make sure that we did right. We want to get a tenant, secure them, and then ultimately we go out there and to build something which is sustainable for us. The second point, we've already started our upgrading of our 7 lobbies in New Tech Park. We started that earlier this year, and that should complete by third quarter. If you come to New Tech Park, NTP Plus, you'll get to see a lot of upgrading works, refurbishment to our lobbies. As mentioned earlier, we're engaging energy specialists for 508 Chai Chee, which is one of our key assets, which has got semiconductors tenants in the building. We are also refreshing external facade for 39 Ubi and 2 Totak, and some lift modernization works in 2 Totak Link. Next slide. So we are actually seeking mandate to unit holders, which is the crux of this session here, is really to explain why we need this after a very strong performance last year, after hard work that we've done in the last 4 years. We need a resounding vote signal from unit holders. So 2021 is definitely a defining year for us. We made significant progress. We're now pivoting towards growth. So we need to hear from unit holders, all unit holders, to see whether you are supportive of the work we've done and you want us to continue this journey on a growth basis. So unit holders' approval for the 5-table resolution will give us the mandate and confidence for us to embark decisively in the next phase of growth for Sabana Industrial REIT on a grow value phase. So why do these resolutions matter? Okay, so the first one is which is resolution 3, to endorse the appointment of Mr. Chan Wai Kiao, Charlie Chan, as director of the manager. And this is an ordinary resolution of which Mr. Chan has brought a great deal of insight to the board since his appointment. And he's got excellent experience in financial sector, in Credit Suisse. And his perspective of an investor and Sabah unit holder is pertinent to what we're going to do now, especially because we're going and navigating into a very challenging market where there are a lot of hurdles in terms of acquiring properties, because we have to make sure macroeconomic is stable for us to be able to acquire, and the kind of funding required for these acquisitions as well. Charlie, as independent director, has played critical role as a member of the Audit and Risk Committee, and he's also in the nominating remuneration committee. So we've got a very lean board who's working doubly as hard as compared to a board that has got 5 or 6 people. And obviously, Charlie is also working very hard to be able to ensure that we deliver and we make quick decisions to help to provide management with advice in that sense. And he's also has got strong independent views and his commitment to do right by unit holders. This suggests Mr. Chan's competency and capability, and he's well qualified as an independent director. Next slide, please. So why should we see Charlie Chan as an independent director? So there was some discussion on Mr. Chan's unit holding in 2017 in the then Cambridge Industrial REIT to ESR Cayman in 2017. It was purely a financial decision made by Charlie Chan and ESR Cayman based on information at that point in time. Charlie would not have been privy in 2017 to 2019 decision made by ESR to become Sabana sponsor. Moreover, on that, Mr. Chan was a unit holder, Sabana unit holder at that point of time, and Charlie, actually during the merger proposition of ESR and Sabana in 2020, he voted against Sabana's merger. He voted as a Sabana unit holder and on the belief that the deal did not reflect to the best interest for him as a unit holder, as well as other unit holders in that sense. Now, Quartz recommended that Charlie Chan to serve on the board. It was Quartz that actually recommended Charlie Chan. They sent an email to me. And the board accepted Quartz's recommendation of Mr. Chan as a good faith collaborative gesture to take the REIT forward. Again, this is something that the board is on we want to work, as what Chairman said, we want to work together with our unit holders. We are open to ideas, but in some cases, we will undertake certain decisions, but we expect responsibilities to be counter reciprocated as well. So just take note that sponsor ESR Cayman and concert parties will abstain from the voting of this resolution. So it's very important for independent unit holders to come out in full force to support this resolution in favor of Mr. Chan Wai Kiao. Next slide. Next slide is actually to authorize manager to issue units and to make convertible instruments, which is what we call the general mandate, which is very common for almost all REITs have this. Now, since 2018, when I came on board as CEO of Sabana REIT, we have gained back this general mandate in the AGM 2018. We lost it in 2017, but we have never issued any units. And we've been very disciplined to look within, to grow, and to look into strengthening it. Now, not only that, in 2018, we had 50% of units that we can issue. We have even brought this down from a 50% threshold to a 20% threshold in 2019. We are tightening that discipline. Not only we have not used it, but we've reduced that. And it is a level the same we are sought for 2021, and which is the same as 2020 as well. So there is no difference of what was approved last year, and we are seeking for the same in 2022, the same 20% limit. How does this benefit unit holders? This mandate is very common among all listcos and REITs. It gives the board and management agility to act and on value accretive opportunities for unit holders should it arise. It gives me more levers for us to be able to fund projects. We would like to assure unit holders that any form of capital raising would be for the purposes of pursuing compelling yield accretive opportunities that are beneficial to unit holders. Remember, we are expanding upon increasing portfolio valuation and portfolio value to $1 billion. We are looking into acquiring properties, and we want to run fast to get to acquire this property and to do asset enhancement as well. We need this general mandate, and we look forward to hearing a strong signal, receiving strong signal from unit holders. On the fifth resolution, is authorized manager to allot and issue units pursuant to the DRP, the Distribution Reinvestment Arrangement. DRP has been introduced in first half of 2021. This will strengthen the REIT's working capital reserve, conserve capital for operations, and also increase financial flexibility. The intent for this is really to be able to invite unit holders to participate in the REIT's growth at a discount from your value weighted average traded unit price, yeah? And you got no brokerage fee, no transaction cost. And we are doing it at a time last year when we started to see a steady increase in our share price movement. It is something that we feel that we should reward back to unit holders to be able to continue this growth journey with us. And the take-up has been, like somebody mentioned, about 40%, well taken up. We feel this is something that we continue to have, and we hope unit holders are with us to be able to vote for this particular resolution. I think I've come to the end of my resolution. I would probably like to hand the session over to Mr. Gerald. Mr. Gerald, over to you.
Thank you. Donald, you ever get tired? You're so vibrant and very, very, happy about what you're doing.
I think the word is passionate. I think if you're really passionate on your work, it will reflect on you. Yes. A lot of people say, Donald, you're younger than normal. That's because I enjoy the work I'm doing.
I'm very pleased this afternoon to hear from the chairman and yourself that you are here to protect and advance the value and the interests of unit holders. I think it's very important to say that, and I believe in that, because this is what SIAS is about. All right, we protect and want to ensure the interests of unit holders. You take the comments and feedback of unit holders seriously, Chairman. That's also very heartening, because it's important for them to know that you take them seriously. You're also law-abiding, comply 100% with laws and regulations, which of course in Singapore, there's no other way. But it's important to emphasize that, So in terms of total returns, Sabana is second highest. Total returns over a year period amongst all S-REITs in Singapore, according to your presentation, which also is a good point. You are targeting to achieve portfolio valuation of more than 1 billion in 3 to 5 years. All right. I mean, just to recap, if I'm your unit holder, these things ring a melody in my mind. Industrial market outlook is looking good. DPU is encouraging 3.5 cents, which is 10.5% year on year.
It's 3.05.
05.
Yeah, but we'll get to 3.5 soon, I hope.
Yes. Unfortunately, I'm not your unit holder, but I'm watching, and I got the following questions to ask, and there will be questions coming in from unit holders. Let me take the portfolio rejuvenation initiatives. All right, let's work ask questions under that. With Sabana Industrial REIT completing about 5 AEI, asset enhancement initiatives, projects last year, you have these areas impacted. How have these areas impacted earnings? First, can you share the ROI of these investments?
Okay, the one major AEIs that we've done is actually the NTP Plus, the retail mall, and we have actually incorporated something like about 43,000 square feet of new space within the mall, and we have built around it, another 50,000 square feet of open area,
Yes.
of which it is a nice place for you to hang out, lush greenery. We've got fountains there. We built extension, 15, 25-meter columns to support a trellis to be able to improve on the looks itself. So it's actually more than an AI for a mall, but it's actually encompassing the entire outlook of New Tech Park, which is more than 30 years old. So if you go there, you can't recognize the old New Tech Park, but you see a new Tech Park in that sense. So the retail helps to actually not only increase in terms of visibility. When we opened this, we had an increase in floor area. We had 100% occupancy for retail. And the cost of my development of NTP Plus, the retail, including all the external facade and the open area, the development cost is 20 million. Development cost includes construction costs. You have your professional fees. You have got your differential premium, all your interest costs. If you add all this together, it's 20 million. And I think if you look at the returns that we get from this, there are two sets of returns. One is, of course, from rental returns. Rental returns on an annual basis over the 20 million development costs, we are achieving a double digit, which is much better than some of the recent AEIs that I've seen in Singapore. That's point one.
Yes.
Point two, since when we announced the AEI for New Tech Park, when we announced that we're going to start with breaking ground in 2019, my valuation of New Tech Park was 223 million. The valuation right now currently is 355 million. If you take, so that's an increase of 32 million since 2 years ago. And even you take a 20 million for development costs, you have a supernormal profit in between. So I think what we're trying to say here is that this project has been very profitable for us. And more importantly, New Tech Park allows us to be able to regenerate an old New Tech Park office building to be able to bring and lure technology companies, electronic companies that find it's hip now to come to New Tech Park. It's hip now to go back to the grand old dame. And by virtue of that, we also started to see increase in the in occupancy for New Tech Park as an office. And that itself has now seen overall improvement in valuation. So we want to repeat this for some of our other projects. Unfortunately, there are not many that we can extend out floor area without having to affect occupancy. All right, we are a small REIT. I can't chase tenant out, then do redevelopment. So the properties that we've seen, as highlighted earlier, all those that we have done rejuvenation, let it be for 15 Jalan Kilang, for 10 Changi, for 8 Commonwealth, for 23 Serangoon, are all rejuvenation in the form of improving touch points. It may not increase floor area, but through improving lobby areas to make it a bit more contemporary, make it a little bit more office, less of industrial, so that we try to attract tenants who are in the office segment to come into our office and pay a little bit more rental. And that's what we've done. And all those 4 other properties have seen increase in valuation. So I think that's what we have done well, and we want to continue doing it moving forward into the phase 3 and part of our strategy 2 as well.
Right. Donald, is the board looking at acquisitions?
We definitely have to look into acquisitions. Why? Because as we do in tandem AEIs is not going to see an increase in valuation or immediate improvement in your distribution income, because it'll take 6 months. In some cases, it'll take 2 years. And construction industry is a bit tight right now. Right. So the plan here is really to look into acquisitions as a means to be able to move the needle, the barometer for our DPU even faster, wherever possible. So we are looking into Singapore. Obviously, this is our stronghold. All our property management, all our consultants are here. We get very good advice, and we will do what we need to do to be able to get the right deal. For abroad, it will take a while because while the VTL lanes and all the reopening of borders have restarted, we will have to do things slowly. Yes. And like I said, we are pretty much guided by the current geopolitical. I think Singapore is a good place to continue to build our portfolio. Why? Because at least we get our currency in Sing dollar. There is no currency risk. And we know that MAS is going to continue to push up our currency strength of Singapore dollars.
Right. I need a bit more clarity for the unit holders. How is your progress of achieving 1 billion AUM?
So at this point of time, we have made some announcement next week as to how we are going to achieve that. So we have already started the expression of interest exercise for 1 Tuas Avenue 4, which currently sits on our book at about roughly 9-10 million. And we are hoping to bring in, and hope to build to suit for tenants, likely to be in the logistics sector, or it could be in the medtech. It's quite near to the Tuas Biomedical Park. And we hope to be able to build. And I think when that transpires, you'll start to see valuation starting to move up from the current land base of 9-10 million to X amount. And that we will provide more clarity. And that's immediate, that what we're doing on our end. So building a further base, of course, will be progressional to look into, let's say, the next 5 properties that we hope to do asset rejuvenation. And it has to couple together with acquisition, which is a faster way in terms of us moving towards the 1 billion portfolio asset under management.
Okay, let's move on to sustainability-linked loan. Last month, Sabana Industrial REIT announced it has secured its first sustainability-linked loan with HSBC valued to the amount of 150 million. Right? And there are 3 questions here. What will these monies be used for? What are the terms of the loan? How is the interest determined? What are Sabana's long-term plans on achieving net zero carbon emissions?
So maybe I can take these questions.
Sure.
So part of the facility that we drawn has been utilized to refinance our very last secured Islamic financing, and the rest will be able to deploy for any potential acquisitions, working capital, as well as asset enhancement, which focuses on to improve the building efficiency. The efficiency is looking at to lower down the utility cost, as well as to protect the value for the property itself. And then the term of the facility is largely consistent with other commercial financing, except that the interest rate of the loan is currently pegged to the predetermined annual energy and water intensity targets across all our multi-tenanted property. The REIT will be entitled to the lower pre-agreed interest rate if we're able to achieve those targets. So in terms of the question on what is our long-term plan in achieving the net zero carbon emissions, it's actually in line with our grow value phase of refresh strategy, and also the regulations directions, which we will be continuing our efforts to keep improving our building efficiencies, integrating sustainability elements in our operations, and to deliver growth in a responsible manner. For mid to longer term plan, we wish to have all our property to be able to achieve the green mark standard as per the required under the building and construction authorities. However, with the considerations of all our properties are aged more than 20 years old, we will be prudent and steadily rolling out plans to improve those buildings with aim to achieve net zero emission targets. And we have since started with the, like what Dr. mentioned earlier, we have since started with the engaging with energy specialists to perform the energy review on 508 Chai Chee Land, as well as undertaking our very first sustainability linked loan commitments. So these are the plan that we have in mind for long-term plans for the REIT itself.
Okay, before I throw it open to the unit holders, let me deal with the public criticism that's coming from Quas Asia. Quas Asia has over 12% share interest in Sabana. It is also a strong critic of Sabana. Firstly, can you inform unit holders how is Sabana's board and management engaging Quas, or is Quas engaging you? Don't know. Or chairman, you want to chair? Yeah.
I think this is a very important question. You know, when I look at the current situation confronting Sabana, I look at the operations, I look at the people, I look at our circumstances. Everything seems to be going well, reasonably well, and yet there seems to be an overcast, you know, on the situation. So I thought about it, And when I distill it down, actually it comes down to something that could be actually resolved very quickly, which is really communication. Improving communication doesn't require a spreadsheet, doesn't require CAPEX, ERP to support it. All it takes is a will, right? So we have always tried to engage our unit holders, not just courts. In regard to some of these recent criticisms of Mr. Chan, I think we have tried to reach out to him, tried to reach out to them. I mean, let's have a lunch, let's talk about it, and we organize this forum again as part of the outreach. If you have anything that you want to sort of voice, maybe we can do it together and discuss everything openly in front of others. So this is something that I think we should work on. But communication is multilateral, is bilateral. I think I have to say that if communication can be a little bit more polite and there's proper business etiquette, I think we will all go a long way towards improving things. I think that's why I say, and the communication doesn't require CAPEX to improve.
But they have not engaged you.
All it takes is a will. Yeah.
They have not engaged you, or you have not engaged them on this issue.
You're a bit soft.
Yeah, well, they have not engaged you.
Maybe I can answer that.
They have. I think Donna has been engaging them on a quarterly basis.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, correct. And then
So every quarter we will invite not only quads, but some of the bigger block of unit holders whom I look forward to, because at the end of the day, we can only discuss what after the results we have.
Sure.
And I always ask a very important question. Is there any suggestion, constructive ideas that unit holders has for us? And a lot of times we get very good feedback, and some of these are being thought over, like DRPs are all thought over. We know that, certain unit holders make very good points and all that.
Yes.
So we are always open to ideas and communication on our side. And we have done that on a quarterly basis.
Yeah.
So they are campaigning and intend to vote against the resolution to appoint Mr. Charlie Chan as independent director, issuance of new units, and the dividend reinvestment scheme. Did quads share their views or engage the board before making their views public?
Okay, let me just take this question, and I think you can add on. This session is not meant to be a session where we come and conflict, create confusion, contradict, and who says who, what, that sort of thing. I think I authorized and asked for this session because I wanted a session where we can communicate clarity, and then bring calmness and bring confidence to a situation.
Because it is in the public domain, and the unit holders have views of both sides. So you need to address it from the SIAS point of view. We want issues that are in the public domain to be addressed, you see.
Yeah. Okay, so I think let's answer this question in totality. Let me just explain what happened, and I think you can add on. I think the situation started in March 2021 when two of our then independent directors decided to resign from their positions because they too were to be subject to endorsement at the AGM 2021, and they felt that this is something that they do not want to go through. Now, these two gentlemen had no dealings whatsoever with ESR Cayman, so it was a bit of a surprise to us, but we took it in our stride, and then we began looking for new IDs. So courts recommended Mr. Chan to us. Now, Donna, Heng Kyu, and myself do not know Charlie personally when his name was forwarded to us. So we looked at him from a very neutral and very clean slate perspective. And then we began to, in a way, do due diligence and engage him. So our compliance consulted lawyers and legal advice regarding some of the points about ESR, his stake in AIMS and all that. And we were satisfied that as far as the letter of the law is concerned, those pose no issues. Charlie will elaborate a bit more later. Okay, those pose no issues. Then, of course, David, you're also concerned about the spirit of the law.
Yeah.
So we went around checking and, of course, talking with Charlie, and we felt that his behavior in 2017 in regards to the Sabana issue and the way he actually put action behind his words in 2020, plus the feedback that we hear from people about how much they look upon him as a champion of minority rights, make us comfortable that even by the spirit of the law, there was no issue. So we went through a process with the Monetary Authority of Singapore, answered all the questions that they have, and secured their approval. And then we appointed Charlie to our board. He joined on 2nd of June. And fast forward 10 months later, we are very happy with Charlie. I mean, Charlie has shown himself to be very independently minded. Yet at the same time, we find that he's very professional in the way he deals with us, the rest of us. And he's also reasonable to talk to. Reasonable in the sense that he holds his views very firmly. But he also understands and appreciates that, you know, a situation can be looked at from different perspectives by different people under different circumstances, short-term, long-term, from whose perspective. And so he embraces a sort of diversity of views.
I understand
Right?
that he doesn't.
So we are happy. And just to let me finish off. So we are happy for Charlie to continue. But I mean, from court side, after he came on board on 2nd June, on the 20th of June, the requisition and EGM. The rest of the story I won't repeat, you know, but here we are now. So, you know, Result 3 is a result of some of these happenings. I think I should pause and let Heng Kyu also have a say, because Heng Kyu was with me throughout, you know. Heng Kyu? Yeah,
yes. We looked at Charlie's range of competence and we were quite impressed. We felt that his range of competence would be very useful. Now, I particularly liked his vast and deep, broad experience in REIT investment. So as a minority investor in the other REITs, and the fact that he has long years of experience there, we knew that he would contribute very well, because he could look after his own interests as well as the interests of all the unit holders. And as Chairman has said, he's quite outspoken, so he will tell us his views on matters which affect the minority shareholders. And
He
we really
speaks up.
appreciate that.
He speaks up at the board meetings
Yes, that's right.
and questions the board on the validity of your proposals, and his interest is in protecting the interests of the minority. That's the impression you get, right? Yeah.
It's the same as all of us, but except that sometimes the issues are just looked at differently. I mean, one of his phrases to me is, let's agree to disagree. Often this space is always used, and then we say, okay, then we just park the thing, or get management to get more info, or let's negotiate something better, or, you know, if the thing is not urgent enough, let's park it, think over it. So agree to disagree for the time being, and it's a good approach, yeah.
So what value does he bring other than being a vocal, you know, rather vocal at the meetings? His experience is useful to you. His experience and his financial background, his experience, what he has done. Is that what you are impressed with?
Yeah, I think he has shown himself to be very knowledgeable about the REIT industry. I mean, to be frank, since Charlie came on board, there's been no corporate action in which, you know, sort of there's this requirement for minority interests to be specially articulated. I mean, it's business as usual. But, you know, when we understand Charlie, his actions in 2017 and his actions in 2020 sort of confirms to us that, you know, this man is capable of exercising his independent views going forward. I mean, the period that he's with us, there was no corporate action. One other thing I found that he's very knowledgeable is actually, you know, in terms of all these mechanical systems. I mean, recently we had some issues with some water systems, and actually he was able to articulate a lot of technical knowledge. And I felt that I had a good lesson in, you know, whatever, water plumbing 101 from Charlie. You know, thank you for that, Charlie. Yeah.
Okay.
I think maybe should we let Charlie have some? Yeah.
Yes, please, Charlie. Yes.
Yeah, Charlie, I think we hand over to you because, you know, I think your perspective is critical to this. Yeah.
Yes, so, you know, I'm very pro minority and investor interest, because many times you find that there are deals which managers do which may not be in the best interest of all, but, you know, at least you understand it and you bring it up to the board and the management. So since, you know, I joined, there have been numerous cases whereby there have been big, small or big issues, which I try and show Donald the alternative side, why you should or should not do these things. And I find that it's been helpful to the board and the management as a whole. You know, that's how I look at things.
So you're fearless and you speak up and you criticize if you need to, because your objective is the interest of the shareholders, or unit holders.
Yes, that's perfectly correct.
Maybe can I just add on?
Yes.
I think it's also one of the questions that the audience have asked. What specific has Charlie done? I'd like to just reiterate on my end.
Yes.
While a lot of my presentation and a lot of my so-called track record started in 2018 up to now, you've seen, us growing and strengthening. I think Charlie made a very important point to me during recent board meeting that, Donald, you are also responsible for since day one until 2010, which I truly appreciate that, because as a new CEO that came in 2018, I will have to take over the reins of all those that have come before me. And I think that also sets the realization that there are a lot of unit holders who have been with us since day one. So moving forward, taking that kind of advice, the perspective for us is to make sure we look after all our unit holders, not only those who came in from 2018, but those who even came in even before, during IPO, which has actually bought at much higher price. And I would like just to add, of course, while we've seen what has transpired, but the way I would have done if I was the CEO of 2010, I would go slow in terms of the acquisition process. I would look within to make sure that we improve our assets of what we have, rather than to go on a freewheeling purchasing properties and grow as fast as we can, and neglecting those that we have. So I'm using the same approach as what I have in 2018, learning that to apply in 2010, growing slowly. I think that's a very important, realization that I've learned from Charlie as well.
So what is the crux of their complaint? Everything I'm hearing, everything good about Charlie, that he will stand, he's independent on the board, he will fight for the right thing, and he will represent the interests of unit holders. So, Chairman or Donald, what is beef here?
I think the concerns which we hear from our sort of opposing unit holders is along two lines. First of all, he transacted with ESR Cayman way back in 2016 and 2017.
Yeah, that's fine.
And therefore that somehow would affect his independence. And then he's also the shareholder of AIMS APAC, which again, we understand him to be just a financial investor. And yesterday he confirmed that whenever he can meet them, they give him the same treatment, two persons, one same IRR pack. The two persons are to kick each other, just in case one reveals something that he shouldn't reveal to Charlie, because they are not supposed to reveal it to anybody, anybody else. So these are the two issues. I think, Charlie, maybe could you also give that perspective, because for us, we have just, in a way, understood it from the governance and legal perspective. Yeah. So
I find it strange because I invest as an investment manager myself. I run a small fund. I do invest a fair amount in REITs. And, I think to date, I've invested in about 70% of all the existing REITs listed in SGX. So necessarily, he's just focused on something which was well known to the public, that I was an investor in AIMS. I was an investor in, Cambridge, which became ESR, which I sold to ESR. And he just brings it up to discredit the whole process. Perhaps.
If so, why did he appoint you? Why did he recommend you? He knew all these things.
It's a very strange one. And I too question it. I think initially he wanted more of his people. He thought I was one of the opposing type investors and directors. And I believe he was hoping for more directors from the other side of the fence to join in. But unfortunately, not known to me. There's only been me on the board. And he's told me before, he would rather have more coming on the board so that he can have more opposition. And I told him it's better you get somebody to at least protect your interests.
Yeah.
And that's where we agreed to disagree.
So, Chairman, do you think this was maybe an attempt by Quartz to test the board in conducting its own due diligence on the then proposed candidate?
I think, David, I have the highest regard for you, but I'm not going to answer this question because I think it is not appropriate. Like what I just said, we always accord the highest respect and regard for all our unit holders. So I think whatever they are thinking and whatever actions they take, we do not want to attribute motives to people. I think that's not correct,
Yeah.
commercially or even on a personal or social
Yes.
basis. So I think I
Yes.
will not
Fair
answer your
enough.
question.
Fair
I say I have high regard for you, but for once, please pardon me, I'm not going to answer your question.
That's all right. So,
Yeah.
what this board is telling unit holders is we have a man here who will speak up, who has spoken up, who will represent the interests of unit holders, and he will at the AGM be held responsible to the unit holders, right? That's what we are hearing. I mean, this is a suitable candidate with experience and with a voice for unit holders.
Yep. Yeah.
So with that, one question, has Sabana management evaluated the impact of COVID and attitudes of companies to reduce space moving forward? You know, many people are now adopting work from home, and then slowly they're coming back, but not all are willing to come back. And the point is maybe less space is required. Is that true, Donald? I mean,
Well, by and large, it is correct if you are in the office sector.
Yeah.
If you're paying $10, $12 per square feet in Marina Bay, then you will think twice about having less footprint. And I think that as you put as an advantage, because a lot of companies that we've seen are moving out from the expensive Marina Bay Raffles Place paying $10, $12 per square foot. And they are actually moving into the business parks and the high-tech industrial. Of course, they should be able to qualify the industrial zoning first and foremost, and not paying $10 to $12, but instead paying the $3, $4 per square foot. A couple of my office in New Tech Park, we've got office tenants who have come in from office buildings in UE Square, in Raffles Place, and they're doing exactly that. So what we find ourselves in industrial is that generally there might be tenants who are reducing footprint, and this could be the old economies, but it is also the fact that we upgrade these buildings to make it more office-like and to attract office-like kind of tenants who can qualify industrial zoning, who find, hey, not bad, what? The renovations, the lobby looks like an office, and I'm paying 1/3 the rental. So it's an easy decision outside. Second component is, of course, on our end, we have a lot of what we call logistic companies. We have data centers, we have semiconductor. These are expansionary, and business is good for them. The entire COVID-19 was, the whole economy of Singapore was saved because of the electronics. Electronics was doing bumper business. People all from Zoom working with laptops, and business was so good. And we got all these tenants to come into our building in the last 1 year. And that's why occupancy got up. And these are the tenants, when they come to our building, when they're happy with what we have, they will expand more footprint. So we are already now accommodating them. So I think we are in a good spot, in a good segment of the market, in a right price market. And so long we continue to look into upgrading, doing our rejuvenation, asset enhancement, I think we're in good shape to be a bit more resilient and to be able to take a little bit more competition from the office market.
so Chairman and Directors, Donald and Wei Huang, thank you for, and Charlie, thank you for joining us and answering all the questions. You have clarified quite a number of issues. From what I have heard this afternoon, unit holders can be, assured that this board is working in your interests, and they are already showing data that is very encouraging. And unfortunately, Chairman, I don't have money to buy shares, but but unit holders will be on a good wicket because you already got 10.5% year-on-year DPU. I mean, they're about DPU, and basically, I can only think, if I'm right, that you can only get better, not worse, hopefully, right? And we all will pray for better times for unit holders. Thank you very much for spending the time with us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
And
Thank you,
happy
everybody.
Easter holiday to all. Yeah. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.